Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm in Rosh Pinna here with my wife. We lived here over 20 years ago, and it's our anniversary, and so we're here in the Galilee this Shabbat. So it's a pleasure to bring you this recording from the north of Israel. And this week's Parshat Matot Masei opens with the whole subject of Nedarim and Shavuot, vows and oaths, and the importance of keeping our word. And the Slonomer Rebbe, in his Sefer Netivat Shalom, asks a fascinating question around one word that is brought in this week's Parsha. When it talks about keeping our word and breaking our word when it comes to vows, it says, Lo yachel devaro. One's words should not be yachel. What does that mean, yachel? Rashi says it means one's words should not be chulin. Chulin means, as opposed to kodesh, something which is unholy, as opposed to kodesh, which is holy. Our words should not be unholy. And this is an amazing word. And many of the teachers, especially in the Sifrei Chassidut, the Hasidic thinkers, talk about this idea. The Sfat Emet especially talks about this idea, and he says, we see from here that the words that we human beings say, that we utter, are holy. Holy words. It's not just any words that come out, like a Twitter feed, or like just the words that come through us. No, the words have divine power and a sacredness, and it's something that we need to be aware of. And the Sfat Emet and the Rebbe of Slonim, they draw this idea back to the story of creation. Because in Pirkei Avot it says that with 10 sayings the world was created. It says, for example, Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or. God didn't just create light, he brought light into the world through speaking. Vayomer Elokim. He said, Yehi Or. Vayomer Elokim Na'aseh Adam B'Tzalmenu. Let us make man, humanity, in my image. This was done through speaking. And in fact, in the creation of man, when the Torah describes the creation of a human being, it says nefesh chaya. It's like a living soul. And the Targum Onkelos there explains it's like a ruach amlalata. It's like a speaking spirit. In other words, we are channeling through our words the holiness of Hashem. It's like a divine act. The divine act of speaking is the most creative act. And in the same way, when we imitate God, it's mainly through our speech. So the way we speak and the words we choose are very important. And that is why in this week's parasha, they're called kodesh. They are holy words. And if they're not holy, they are chol. And I want to add one more idea, because sometimes we talk about these ideas of kodesh and chol, holy and not holy. What this idea of chol? Why is chol mean something that is unholy? I want to offer an explanation. Chol, what does chol mean in Hebrew? Chol is the sand. What is sand? Each sand is identical to the other grains of sand. Sand with other sands, it just becomes heaps and heaps of sand. As opposed to kodesh, which means to separate, to set something aside. I set something aside, I give it my attention, it becomes holy. And I think we have a choice where it comes to our words, and in fact all our activities, but especially our words. Are our words like heaps of sand, like speckles of sand that we just throw out, just heaps of sand, one after the other, like just a sort of a Twitter feed without much thought, just going out like sand, heaps on the other, identical to the other, without much thought? Or can we actually segregate our mind, choose, identify, prioritize, choose how we talk, choose how we communicate, because then our words truly become holy. And then we can move our whole speech from one of chol, just like heaps of sand, to one of holiness. Shabbat Shalom.